China is a complicated place. The most populated country on the planet has seen its economy, military power, and global status skyrocket in the late 1900s, with this growth continuing now into the 21st century. The economic policies of former chairman Deng Xiaoping led China away from the planned economy and Maoist ideologies of the past. Despite this, the Chinese Communist Party still maintains that China is not a capitalist country. The coexistence of private entrepreneurs and public enterprise does not matter. The CCP still maintains control over the direction of the nation and its economy. To the Chinese, this unique blend of capitalism and collectivism is still socialism. Along with this, another integral part of CCP-branded socialism is suppression. Suppression of democracy, suppression of ideas, suppression of freedom, suppression of information. All of this has been happening in China for decades. But until relatively recently, the Chinese Communist Party had a firmer grasp on information entering and leaving the country. The invention and global adoption of the internet, personal computers, and most recently smartphones changed everything. Information was able to flow in and out of the country like never before, and the CCP needed to control it. In the early 1980s, one of Deng Xiaoping's favorite quotes was, "If you open a window for fresh air, you have to expect some flies to blow in." The CCP has taken these words to heart, protecting their ideas and values by swatting flies, with those flies being other ideologies, particularly those that could threaten Chinese stability and party rule. In 1994, the internet first arrived in China. That year, the percentage of internet users in the country was less than 1%. By the end of 2021, around 73% of the Chinese population had accessed the internet. In 1998, the Golden Shield Project, or the National Public Security Work Informational Project, was started, which resulted in internet security measures including video monitoring and facial recognition technology, as well as the initial employment of 30 to 50,000 police officers. A subset of this project, nicknamed the Great Firewall, effectively cut off the Chinese internet from the rest of the world. Access to foreign information is limited. Foreign internet tools and websites are blocked, and any foreign services that do operate in China are forced to adapt to domestic regulations. Not everything is about controlling China's own citizens, though. Increasingly, the Chinese Communist Party is attempting to influence foreign opinions and dialogue surrounding China. Currently, the Chinese government spends as much as $1.3 billion a year to increase the global presence of Chinese media. Beijing has pressured foreign officials to not criticize China and its actions, used state-run media to push narratives overseas, employed the use of fake bot accounts, and has paid Western YouTubers to spread their propaganda. A year-long project by the Australian Strategic Policy Institute analyzed US and China-based social media networks, Chinese government documents, state media reports, and official speeches and satellite imagery among other sources to determine how the CCP is using the internet and social media to influence the Western world. The report found that foreign social media influencers are creating content about Xinjiang that's being used as part of a wider global propaganda push by the Chinese state to counter critical reporting about human rights abuses in the region, often via amplification on US-based social media platforms. Between January 2020 and August 2021, 156 Chinese state-controlled accounts on US-based social media platforms have published at least 546 Facebook posts, Twitter posts, and shared articles that have amplified Xinjiang-related social media content from 13 influencer accounts. Video plays a key role in this ecosystem. Videos featuring foreign social media influencers are often the preferred content that Chinese state entities repackage and boost online. The use of international online influencers is a key part of China's strategy to control their global image and perception. As the editor-in-chief of the state-run China Daily said, "We have always attached great importance to borrowing a mouth to speak, and used international friends to carry out foreign propaganda." YouTube to the Chinese Communist Party is a tool to spread their propaganda to the outside world. But they can't simply make videos of their own and hope they can change the minds of foreigners. They must borrow the mouths of foreign YouTubers to do that for them. So who are these quote-unquote mouths that are being borrowed by the CCP? Today we'll be looking at just 3 of the biggest offenders, starting with Cyrus Jansen was just a recent graduate from Florida State University when he moved to Shanghai to pursue a career as a golf professional. He would quickly rise up the ranks in his new job, becoming the head golf professional for Shenzhen International Golf Club, China's first premier private golf club, within just 2 years of his move to the country. In 2014, he moved to Hong Kong after accepting the position of general manager of i3 Sports, a sports marketing agency that operates mainly in the Asian Pacific. However, in 2017, Cyrus would leave China, moving to Vancouver in Canada to found his own company, APP Marketing Solutions, which, according to Cyrus, is a marketing and consulting firm that advises clients between North America and Asia. In January 2019, Cyrus would post the first video to his YouTube channel, a review of the Savage Creek Golf Course in British Columbia. The golf videos would continue, although they weren't gaining much traction, aside from a guide to building a backyard putting green. Everything would change later on in 2019, when Cyrus posted his first video about China. In the video, Cyrus defends LeBron James's comments on the Houston Rockets general manager posting a "Fight for Freedom, Stand with Hong Kong" tweet at the height of the 2019 Hong Kong protests. In the rest of the video, Cyrus goes on to state that he does not support the Hong Kong protests, that he lived in China for 10 years and sees things differently, and that the Houston Rockets GM should resign and become an advocate if he truly cares about the people of Hong Kong. From then on, Cyrus's channel would be solely dedicated to posting content centered around China. Cyrus paints himself as an intellectual, a neutral, even-handed, rational-thinking person that simply wants the United States and China to work together for the benefit of the entire world. He claims to have no biases and no sympathies towards China, despite all of his videos painting a sympathetic picture of China and echoing CCP propaganda. America wants war with China. Why this American is saying no. Western media bias against China. Why Meng Wanzhou is innocent and will return to China. Why you shouldn't blame China for COVID-19. Why the world needs China. Does the US government care about Chinese people? The real reason Western media lies about China. But not only are Cyrus's videos universally pro-China, they're uploaded around the same time as other videos centered around the same topic, with very similar titles, and uploaded by other YouTubers also accused of spreading Chinese propaganda. But if you're looking for more solid evidence, the sloppiness of the CCP will provide just what you're looking for. Associates of two YouTubers whose channels are focused on China, SerpentZA and LaoY86, were accidentally CC'd on emails sent from CGTN, a Chinese state-owned media network, to Cyrus Jansen. In the emails, a representative from CGTN praises a video Cyrus uploaded titled "Americans Don't Understand the Truth About China" and asks if they could republish the video, saying it would be posted to CGTN's website, Weibo, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. After a brief exchange between them, CGTN offers to pay Cyrus a redacted amount in US dollars to allow them to republish his video. He accepts, but says that he would prefer to accept payment in Chinese yuan. They agree on a price, and he gives them his PayPal information for the payment. When all of this information was exposed by SerpentZA and LaoY86, Cyrus quickly posted a video responding to the allegations just 3 days later. In the video, he tries to prove that he is in fact not being paid by the Chinese government for his content, and shows 2 screenshots as his evidence. The first being the same introduction email from CGTN that was shown previously, and the second one being of him telling CGTN to disregard any payment for the videos. This should be more than enough to clear his name. The evidence is right there that he was never paid by CGTN for republishing rights, if not for one thing. The first email that Cyrus shows, along with the entire exchange that was already revealed, are all dated March, specifically March 14th through March 16th, 2021. The second screenshot of Cyrus denying payment is dated over a month later, April 19th, 2021. Over a month later, and we're still supposed to believe that this is the same email exchange discussing the same video. We're supposed to believe that in a month's time, Cyrus had not received the agreed upon PayPal payment, even though CGTN had already published the video on their social medias. Cyrus Jansen is no intellectual, and he's the furthest thing from an unbiased free thinker simply trying to help the world by bringing China and the US closer together. He's the mouthpiece for a regime that deprives its subjects of basic freedoms and destroys any ideas, philosophies, cultures, religions, or people that threaten its power or ambitions. He's an American and German citizen, accepting payments from a foreign nation to spread propaganda to Americans, as well as English and Chinese speakers around the world. And he's lying to your face about it all. Lee and Ollie Barrett are a British father and son duo that, of course, make videos centered around China. Lee, the father, supposedly has lived and worked in China for 13 years. Ollie, before moving to China to be with his father, started his own YouTube channel at the age of 13. According to Chinese state-run media, Ollie had accrued over 100,000 subscribers making Call of Duty videos before eventually abandoning the channel, something he would later regret. Between the ages of 16 and 21, he worked 15 different jobs, from waiting tables to doing pest control. At the age of 20, Ollie had enough of living paycheck to paycheck and being in debt. He decided to enroll in college and take a cybersecurity course, but it simply wasn't where his interest lied. Ollie was lost. He had no clear future, no path forward. That's when his father told him that he could come visit him in China for a short while. He he took the offer and quickly quit college to make the move across the planet. Ollie had only planned to stay with his father in Shenzhen for a few months, then go back to the UK with his life under control. On the day he was supposed to fly back home, he decided to stay. Not long after, the Barretts would create their father and son YouTube channel dedicated to talking about China. In 2020, their channel would start to gain traction, largely due to Lee posting early daily updates on the COVID-19 situation in China. Eventually, their channel would grow to their now nearly 350,000 subscribers. Now, the Barretts play a different role for the Chinese Communist Party than someone like Cyrus Jansen does. Before recently leaving China, they posted a lot of videos with either Lee or Ollie walking around China discussing news, the differences between China and the West, and just showing the audience what China's like. Of course, the Barretts were never really negative about China and frequently echoed CCP talking points. And all of their videos aren't in the style of vlogs. There are quite a few of mostly the elder Barrett just speaking directly into the camera about a number of things related to China. With videos like, "Camera surveillance is great in China," "The USA are destroying Huawei," "More Western media lies about China," "A one-party state is the best system to beat a pandemic," "Why the West will never control a pandemic," "Xinjiang narrative predicted years ago, is it a planned attack?" "America does not care about Xinjiang Uyghurs," "Beijing Olympics 2022 USA's boycott failure." It's clear that the Barretts' main purpose for their channel is to paint a positive picture of China for not just the rest of the world, but China's own citizens and expatriates living across the planet. But the Barretts could just be expressing their own views, right? There's no evidence that they're being paid to say any of these things by the Chinese Communist Party. Well, according to an article published by The Times, there is. Ben Ellery and Tom Knowles, the authors of the article, claim that the Barretts went on a trip that was organized and funded by China Radio International, a state-run media organization. An official press release described the trip as "international internet celebrities witnessing the happiness of Shaanxi people." A now deleted video of this trip was uploaded to the Barrett YouTube channel, and in the video, Lee said that a trip to a mountain was cancelled so that the international internet celebrities could see propaganda about the area's prosperity. He said, "It wasn't until the second day they started talking about cutting the trip short by a day, and there was no real reason given for that." Another YouTuber on the trip replied, "They had to fit in more propaganda," to which Lee said, "They didn't say that, did they? But that's what happened." Lee Barrett quickly responded to this article just 6 days later with a video of his own. In the video, he claims that he and his son have never been paid by the Chinese Communist Party for propaganda, but did say that the Chinese government organized the trip referenced in the article. He said the only thing the Chinese government paid for was the trip itself, accommodations, and allowance for meals, but they were never paid and they were allowed to dictate their own content. Lee also claims that one of the article's sources, the Australian Strategic Policy Institute, can't be trusted because it is in part funded by the US defense industry and has connections to companies that have used American prison labor. This is, of course, despite the fact that a number of organizations other than the ASPI have analyzed and discussed the Xinjiang situation and come to similar conclusions. No matter the validity of these claims, the article does not reference the Australian Strategic Policy Institute once when discussing the Barretts. It only references their own videos in their own words, which Lee says are taken out of context. Convenient to say when the video they're from is no longer available. Now, just like Cyrus Jansen, the Barretts' videos are extremely similar to others from other suspected Chinese shills. They're focused on the same topic, have nearly identical titles, and are uploaded around the same time. Their videos have also been heavily featured on Chinese state-run media like CGTN, and they've been covered extensively and defended by outlets such as the Global Times. Not only have their videos been featured on these media outlets, but they've also been used as sample pieces when state-run media offers payment to other YouTubers for creating a video. Going back to Lawai86 and Serpent ZA, the two received an email from a Chinese media company representative. In the email, they offer to pay a fair price for them to create a video discussing Chinese politics, and say they could send some samples for reference. After a reply, they did send a link to the sample, and it was of course a video currently on the Barrett YouTube channel and CGTN. In the video, Barrett discusses forced labor in Xinjiang, and says that there is no forced labor happening, that the factories have been audited and those that claim it is happening are simply biased and funded by the United States. Clearly there's a pattern here. It's ironic considering Lee Barrett himself has been listed as a global stringer or a correspondent not on regular staff on the CGTN website. Although this has conveniently been removed from the site, and Lee has claimed to have no knowledge of this in a video responding to an article by the BBC. What nobody has mentioned is that in every single one of CGTN's mirrors of Barrett's videos, there's a CGTN stringer overlay in the corner. And as if all of that isn't bad enough, as just the cherry on top, both of the Barretts have promoted a traditional Chinese Chinese cold medication is a cure for COVID-19 for a domestic Chinese audience. The Barretts have no qualms taking money from lying pharmaceutical companies, and no qualms being simple mouthpieces for an authoritarian communist regime. Jason Lightfoot was just a student at the University of Sheffield when he met his now wife. Just 3 years later, they decided to move to China, just an hour's drive from her hometown. It wouldn't be long after that Jason would start his YouTube channel, Living in China, uploading his first video May 2014. Like most of the other pro-China YouTube channels, Living in China began to pick up steam in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. Jason's videos started off as normal vlogs, but over time they would evolve into something similar to Barrett, with Jason walking around China and recording himself talking about news surrounding the country, quote-unquote Western lies about it, and overall just painting a positive picture of China. Living in China now boasts over 220,000 subscribers, and taking a look at some of Jason's videos, it's clear that he's in the exact same boat as other YouTubers covering China. Similar titles, thumbnails, topics, and publishing dates. Videos meant for both a domestic Chinese and Western audience. The world needs to learn from China. Western media lies about China. Does Western media hate China? Western media is hiding China's success. Western media's baseless Xinjiang claims. China is the safest country in the world? The real reason why America is crumbling. Now, Jason Lightfoot has been accused, much like the Barretts and Cyrus Jansen, of being paid off by the Chinese government by numerous news outlets, most notably the BBC. He has numerous videos where he mocks the BBC and uses them as examples of the unfair treatment Western media gives to China. It's the BBC article that Jason would respond to in a video titled, "The BBC has exposed my CCP funding." The video is mostly just similar to the defense videos posted by other Chinese shills, with Jason trying to discredit the outlet making the claims, but there's one part that sticks out. Jason claims that the BBC have altered the color grading of his videos to make them, and China, appear more gray and depressed, making trees appear dead and everything less colorful, which, it is true. They clearly have changed the color grading of his videos, but in a way they almost look more natural than Jason's videos. In all of his content, the colors are extremely bright, and he always has this warm hue to him. If anyone is altering their footage to paint a certain image of China, it seems to be Jason Lightfoot. The BBC appears to just be color correcting footage, while Jason is the one color grading for a bright, mood-lifting atmosphere. But aside from arguments about colors in a video, what else ties Jason and Living in China to the Chinese government? Look no further than, once again, Lao Y86 and Serpent ZA. In an email sent to the two, a representative from Hong Kong Pear Technology offers to pay them for content promoting Hainan, a Chinese tourist attraction. They don't even have to go there, as they have pictures and videos available if necessary. Emails are sent from people claiming to be from Hong Kong-based companies as a way to distance themselves from the Chinese government, but these are still coming from Chinese state-run media. Now, a large number of other email addresses were CC'd in this email, and one of those was, of course, Jason Lightfoot. Jason Lightfoot, like the rest, has been extensively featured in Chinese state-run media outlets. CGTN, the Global Times, New China TV, he's been on all of them. Jason was also once listed on the CGTN website as a stringer for the network, just like Lee Barrett. So while Jason continues to attack Western media and claim that they're all out to get China, just remember whose payroll he's on. Cyrus, Lee, Ollie, and Jason are just 4 people, 3 channels out of many that are spreading Chinese Communist Party propaganda. They're 3 of the largest. There are numerous others that are much smaller but are still highlighted by Chinese state-run media. The pattern remains the same with all of them. The topics, the titles, the thumbnails, it's far from hard to see. For a lot of these YouTubers, it starts with what seems to be a harmless promotion of a tourist trap, as is the case with Hainan. But that's just the hook, and it's not long after that offers from state-run media become more political in nature. It's a story we've seen 1,000 times over, and it's not stopping anytime soon. China is a nation of face, and as long as those in the West and around the world have a negative perception of China, they will keep trying to change the narrative by painting a false picture of what China is. The Chinese Communist Party may be able to control the narrative within their own country, but outside, all of the facts and evidence are here for us to see, and no matter how hard they try, they won't get the world to believe their lies.